Hey, I'm Sam Nang. Welcome back to S&J Pride. If you've ever felt like you were following rules you never agreed to, rules that kept you small so the people around you would feel safe, this episode is for you.
And I'm James. We're two men who've been together for over 11 years. And tonight, we're digging into something I think a lot of you live with, the quiet contract, the unspoken agreements that kept you hidden.
Take a breath with us. If this feels heavy at any point, it's okay to pause. I'll say that again before the end. I once signed an agreement I never read. It cost me my voice.
That line hits. What we're going to do in this episode is name the contract, show how it was written into tiny moments, and then tell the story of the night the night Sam Nong refused to sign one more tiny lie. We'll finish with 3 practical things you can try if you want to cancel your own quiet contract.
Let me start at the beginning, how the contract was written. It wasn't one conversation. It was rituals. The way my mother folded napkins just so. The quiet rule that family questions were never answered honestly if the truth would cause trouble. I learned young that safety meant fitting the shape of the family, even if it didn't fit me.
You know, I remember you telling me about those dinner tables, how the air felt heavy with things unsaid. That's the kind of place rules hide, in silence.
Exactly. There was a language to it. Not just words we said, but words we avoided. Compliments that landed like radar blips, too close, too bright, were redirected or swallowed. If someone asked about a boyfriend, the answer became a sliver of joke or a deflection. Those small edits taught my body to police itself. I learned to perform safety, laughing at the right times, answering with neutral phrases, bringing a female colleague to a family event so I could show normalcy. Each performance was a line I promised to keep. Over time, those lines became the script for nearly everything I did.
And those tiny performances, they add up. You don't notice the weight until you try to move differently.
I want to tell you about a small moment that felt meaningless at the time, but later looked like a brick in a wall. I was at a work party. A manager teased, half joke, half test, about real men and what they did on weekends. Everyone laughed. I smiled, made a joke back, and felt my shoulders tighten. I told myself that night, you handled it, but handling it was another clause in the contract. Never make waves, never risk embarrassment for anyone else.
That was survival language. You made a deal with the room. I'll keep things calm if you keep me safe. It sounds reasonable until you realize safety meant pretending to be someone else.
There were other moments. Passing on a compliment for fear it would read wrong. Deleting messages at 2 a.m. so no one would ask questions. Saying, I'm tired, instead of I need help. Tiny compromises that piled up until I was living half present. It wasn't dramatic. It was 100 invisible concessions.
And I want to name how exhausting that is. Living half present drains you. That's why I hear you when you say you feel numb or stuck.
The tear, the moment everything shifted, was smaller than you expect. It wasn't a shouting match. It was a refusal. One night I was cornered into telling another small lie at my sister's birthday. Someone asked where I'd been the weekend before, and I realized I could keep saying the line, or I could stop. I felt a sharp, ridiculous fear, like skipping a step on a staircase I'd always walked. But beneath it was a sudden clarity. I did not want to add another lie to the list.
I remember that night. You came home and sat across from me and you were shaking. You weren't yelling. You were exhausted. You said, I can't do one more pretend. That took everything.
I thought the consequences would be immediate and catastrophic. Instead, the consequences were slow and messy. People were confused. My sister called me cold. A coworker avoided the next project. But there was something else too. A small relief, like unclenching a muscle I didn't know I'd held for decades.
Rebuilding after that refusal was not a heroic montage. It was apprenticeship to honesty. I learned 3 things that helped me rewrite the rules, and I want to say them plainly because you can try them too.
Number 1, name your clause. Write down one rule you live by that isn't yours. I can't tell family the truth, or I must always say I'm straight. And say out loud, this is not mine. Naming takes the power out of invisible rules.
Number 2, build a ritual. For you, that might be a 5-minute morning check-in where you say one honest sentence to yourself. Today I will not hide. Or a signal with a trusted friend. Rituals anchor new behavior, the way old rituals anchored hiding.
Number 3, find accountability that feels safe. That could be a therapist, a friend who knows your story, or if you're like I was, one person who will ask you the gentle question when you want to step back into the old script. Accountability isn't punishment, it's a lifeline.
If you're listening and wondering, do I have the courage for that? I'll tell you what I tell people. Courage isn't always a roar. Sometimes it's a whisper that keeps showing up. You don't have to fix everything at once.
If you are still bound by rules you didn't choose, hear me clearly. You are allowed to be scared, and you are allowed to take tiny steps. Start with one sentence of truth to yourself. That first sentence is a practice, not a final verdict. A gentle reminder, we are not therapists. We're 2 men sharing what we've lived. If anything in this episode stirs up something heavy, shame, panic, memories, please consider pausing and reaching out to a mental health professional or someone you trust. Plan for safety before making any big moves. Your well-being comes first.
One small thing you can do right now, in the comments or wherever you listen. Write, I hear you, if you're not ready to share more. Or tell us one quiet contract you want to cancel. We read everything, and we sit with you. And if this episode helped even a little, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear you're not alone.
Thank you for sitting with me tonight. If this landed, hit subscribe and come back. There are more stories and practical work ahead. Remember, naming the rules steals its power. Rewriting the contract is possible, and it doesn't have to happen all at once.
I hear you. You are not alone. We're proof that change is messy and real and worth it.
This is S&J Pride. We'll see you next time. Take a breath.